All kind of stuff popped off over the weekend with the MrBeast thing, so let's just get right into it. Another former, not quite employee, but someone who claims to have worked for MrBeast, at least for a project, has come forward. This video was posted just a day ago, probably about 2 days ago now, and it has 2.3 million views. So here is the video right here. It says, "I worked for MrBeast. He's a thief." And it was uploaded by a content creator called Ty Orr. So the video is about 23 minutes long. I clipped out some relevant parts or some parts that I consider to be relevant. So let me pull that video up right now. Like I said, this is just a few clips from this video. So if you want to see the full video, I can link it below and y'all can go click on it and watch it there. So let's get started on that.
Camera rather than on, and
Okay, so I have my notes here too. The guy, his name looks like it's Ty. Ty starts the video out by saying who he is. He introduces himself. He is a content creator. He has a YouTube channel, and he said since 2018, he has always wanted to be a YouTuber. One thing leads to another, and he starts to realize that he actually feels more comfortable behind the camera, meaning editing instead of being on the camera. And so he actually became a very successful and prolific YouTube editor. He edits for channels which have millions and millions and millions of subscribers, and he seems to have made out a little bit of a niche. Then Ty goes on to talk about the fact that he one day just gets this random email out of the blue earlier this year, February 2024. And when he gets this random email out of the blue, it's like MrBeast follow up. And they tell him, "Thank you for submitting your casting information to our team. We want to do a follow-up." Now, you're going to hear him say it in this video, but Ty says he never submitted anything to MrBeast for casting, but he does work for other YouTubers, and he said he did work for other YouTubers. So he wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt, and maybe it was legit. So he did respond. Let me play a few of those first clips from the video here.
I was lied to, manipulated, and thrown away like a piece of garbage. Honestly, though, sometimes I kind of think that this was pretty genius. No one would ever believe me because I'm literally just a nobody. So I have Chris Tyson to thank for allowing me to have this platform to tell my truth.
So, good point. Keep this in mind that if Ava Chris Tyson never was exposed for what Ava Chris Tyson was doing, and if all this other side tangential expose stuff was not going on, who would believe this guy? Who would care? And spoiler alert, this has been going on in every facet, portion, and crevice of every industry since forever if it involves creative or intellectual property. Okay, this happens in the music industry, this happens in the movie and the film industry, this happens in the book industry, this happens in the television industry. They will harvest ideas from people who they do not think anyone will believe, and they steal it. They just steal it. This happens a lot. Okay, spoiler alert, that's what we're gonna talk about at the end of the video. Okay.
February 2nd, 2024, and I got an email in which I thought was a scam. I mean, for real, look at this. A random email saying, "MrBeast follow-up," when you didn't even remember reaching out in the first place. Whether that's true or not, I certainly don't remember reaching out to him. I responded in the email, and then I proceeded to post a Facebook post because I was so happy. So I got a job offer from MrBeast today.
Okay, so in this part of the video, Ty is just going over some of the receipts, some of the evidence that he was able to gather to prove that what he's saying is accurate and true and credible. So he's showing his personal Facebook page here, and it says, "So I got a job offer from MrBeast today. Video call on Monday. Wish your boy luck." Okay, so he's just kind of laying the groundwork, showing that this did in fact happen in the month of February.
Video call on Monday. Wish your boy luck. So in a nutshell, before we get into all the details, MrBeast gave me a fake job, flew me out there to work. I worked my butt off, took all my ideas, sent me home, and told me there wasn't a job available.
So that's the TLDR of the video.
Then proceeded to not only do that, but then to take my ideas, steal, and then make a video. So that's what we're going to be covering here.
Okay, so then he goes on to provide a few more receipts. Here he shows that he was at the airport flying to North Carolina.
The post says, "Years of hard work has led me to this. My heart is pounding out of my chest."
So I'm glad he included this because it's showing that he was really taking it seriously. He really believed that this was a true, genuine job opportunity, which for the record, he was extremely qualified for, which we'll get into.
I'm flying to Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. February 26th, nothing about MrBeast. April 19th, nothing about MrBeast. April 25th, May 3rd, May 9th, May 19th, nothing about MrBeast. And do you know why I didn't post anything about MrBeast from that time? Because something went horribly wrong and I was way too embarrassed to tell people people about it because I made so much noise, such a fuss about me going to MrBeast company, and then I just got kind of screwed over.
So I think we've all been there before. We believed something that maybe was too good to be true, but we bragged about it. And then it seemed like things were gonna check out. We told our friends about it. And then it was like, girl, that was a scam. Then you just don't say nothing else about it.
Oh, I didn't post a single thing about that. So this is the first email I ever got from a guy named Dylan. Dylan sent me an email, MrBeast follow-up. Hey, thanks for submitting your info to our casting team. We received your submission at this time.
So this is the email that he received out of nowhere. Thanks for submitting your info. We received your submission. He said, I didn't submit nothing, but hey, look, amen, Jesus, maybe it's a job for me. And then they go on to say, working at MrBeast, we are collaborative first. You'll see, he'll read it to you, but this is the first email that he purports that he received from this company.
And we're fully casted for our current videos. That's not what we want to pay attention to. What we want to pay attention to is the second paragraph. Working at MrBeast, we are collaborative first, and I was forward your submission. Don't know how you got it, but let's keep going. If you're interested, I would love to chat.
Okay, this is interesting. All right, this is like the third time I'm watching through this, and I finally am starting to see a little trees from the forest. We received your submission, and it says, at this time, we're fully casted for our current videos. But like he says, that's not even the most important part. They're saying, okay, thank you for contacting the casting team. We appreciate you contacting us. We don't need to cast nobody. We're fully casted. But it says, working at MrBeast, we are collaborative first. And I was forwarded your submission. And then Dylan says, if you're interested, I would love to talk about a potential full-time or contract role work on the MrBeast creative team. Okay. So he says, I don't remember responding to anybody's casting call, but I got this email and it said, we can't cast you anything, but we would like to talk to you about being a member of our creative team, either as a full-time employee or possibly as a contract worker. Okay, like independent contractor. That's the first email he ever received from these people, he says.
I responded to the email right after the call I had with Hoodie. They basically told me that
Okay, so I skipped a few parts here because he does just kind of go back and forth about the tedious kind of word for word exchanges and all that, and you should go and watch his video. But basically, one thing leads to another. He gets to the next round of this process, and now it has to do with this vibe check, quote unquote. And apparently, if you want to get this type of job, you have to go into the office and do what's called a vibe check. Now, I did go to law school and I took some classes at Wharton, the business school. And this type of job interview reminds me a lot of the consulting. I don't know if y'all know anybody that's ever got an MBA, the Master's in Business Administration, especially at a school like Wharton or Harvard or something like that. A lot of the people who go to those schools to get MBAs, they end up working at these what's called consulting firms. And girl, your guess is as good as mine as to what those firms actually do. It seems like they might run the world along with BlackRock, but these consulting firms, they don't just interview you like a regular job interview. They give you these kind of problem sets, right? Like the interviewer will come in and say like, all right, our client is the government of China and they're having a PR crisis. How would you address it? Or whatever. Like they'll give you really big, oftentimes either imaginary or already resolved and already solved problems. And the reason for that is they want to see how you think, what your personality type is, how you would approach a problem. There is really truly no right answer at all. You're just supposed to impress them with what your mind is capable of.
We have a case interview which takes up roughly about 25 to 30 minutes of every interview that we do. And it really tests many different aspects of your problem-solving ability, as we like to call it.
That the interviewer is really looking for your intrinsics in terms of problem solving. It's more about being open and find your own approach to solve the project.
You really are solving problems that the consultant that is interviewing you has experienced through his or her own work with the client. And so that makes it much more relatable when you're able to discuss a real life situation.
But in the interview, we're looking for how you approach the situation and how you structure and communicate.
Again, to just see what's going on in your mind and understand how you think and understand how you solve problems.
You need to take notes while the consultant is speaking.
Okay, so that's what they're kind of calling this vibe check. It kind of reminds me of a consulting firm interview where they wanted him to come in, okay, for an interview. Before they wanted him to come in for an interview, they wanted him to pick one of two prompts of a possible potential future MrBeast video. And when he picked the, whichever one he picked, they wanted him to come up with a pitch They wanted him to basically pitch a whole YouTube video. He's going to talk about this. I'm kind of, getting out ahead of myself here, but this is kind of what's going on. Then they email him about this vibe check, and they're kind of like, we want you to come in. Not only do we want you to come in for an interview, but we want you to come for 3 days and spend some time around the warehouse, aka studio where we all work. And we want to vibe with you and see how you work with us. But, vibe check is another way of seeing like how you are, how you interact, what is your personality type. What makes you tick? How do you deal with authority? How do you not deal with authority? How do you deal with someone who is technically maybe perhaps seemingly beneath you? It's literally they're telling you it's a vibe check. So he gets invited in for the vibe check.
I needed to make a prompt. Let me just read the email. Hello, Ty. We would like for you to come in for a vibe check. Vibe check means you come in for a few days to see if you're good, see if you're a good worker, see, people are not going to be annoyed by you, and see if they can move further on with the hiring process. If possible, I'd like for you to come in for 3 days at some point next week. I've got a recruiting coordinator, Leslie, CC'd on this email. She will help you figure out the days which you can make it and handle your travel arrangements. Now, this is the most important email of all. What they want me to do is to do 2 video prompts. Attached, you will find 2 video prompts.
So now he's talking about the 2 video prompts that I previously mentioned.
Pick one that inspires you the most and document and write out how you envision it. Really let your creativity flow and assume everything is possible. So in each of these prompts, one of them is the world's most...
It does seem fun just in and of itself so far. I mean, I probably would have took the bait just to try and see.
Dangerous trap room, and the other is 24 hours to spend $1 billion. I went with the world's most dangerous trap room.
He didn't really care about this $1 billion thing. He's like, who gives a about how to spend $1 billion? And this guy, Ty, is very creative, very smart. So he chose the one where he would get to display that to the team and really put his intellect and his creativity on display for them to impress them, which is what you should do. You should try to put your best foot forward in an interview. So that's what he did.
We mentioned before, this is Leslie sending me an email. Thanks, Ty. Are you able to fly in on Tuesday, be on office Wednesday?
So then he shows this email from in between with Leslie, the coordinator, and he's just showing that they did, in fact, communicate via email.
Wednesday through Friday, and fly back out on Saturday morning. Of course, I said yes, and she gave me all my travel info. So now we're going to get into like the more just deep in the details here.
Okay, so it looks also, he doesn't mention this in the video, but I'm noticing now looking at this email, it does look like they were talking, Ty and Leslie, the coordinator, were talking about what to do with Ty's dog. And it does look like this was being presented, and the pretense was that this was a legitimate job possibility and opportunity. Because look, she says, if we move forward with the 90 days, we'd be happy to help with travel accommodations and help getting your pup all set up. Okay, so it seems like maybe there was some type of contention where like if you do the vibe check good or whatever, then there's a possibility for a 90-day trial period. And I have heard also Dog Pack, aka Dawson, talking about this 90-day trial period as well. So I think this must be something about that. So it does appear that they were presenting it as though there were a job available that maybe he could get, maybe Ty could get.
Friday and fly back out on Saturday morning. Of course, I said yes, and she gave me all my travel info. So we're taking a look right here. I have the prompt, and it says the world's most dangerous.
So now Ty is going to show you and tell you about the prompt that he answered. Okay, I'm probably going to fast forward this just to save a little bit of time. You should go and watch the video, but I just want y'all to get a brief overview, just kind of visually see what he was presenting. I'm going to let him kind of talk through what he presented at this as this prompt. Now, I want you to remember, he has not gone over there yet. Okay. He's doing this prompt in his house from his computer. Okay. He's just doing this as part of before he gets there to do the vibe check. He's doing this as part of that, okay? So very smart. I'm telling you, you can tell that this is an extremely intelligent individual based on what you're about to hear him describe. But this was how he answered the prompt. Remember the 2 prompts he had to choose from? One was spend $1 billion, and then one is like this most dangerous trap room or whatever. This is his answer to that prompt.
Trap room. And in my intro, I have PT hallway, I have elevator, I have the Squid Games glass challenge, I have bloodthirst, and I have mole maze. And within these things in my prompt, I do have like variations. So first one I see.
So he put variations, right? He didn't just answer, oh, it would be cool if A, B, C, D, E. he said, oh, well, if you didn't like C or D, then you could do L or M or X or Y, right? He gave more options to just show the depth and the breadth of his creativity. You know, if there's some reason why that won't work, here's another option.
The variation. So right here, underneath elevator, I wrote one thing. The ultimate goal is to escape the elevator before it reaches the top floor and the bottom falls out beneath you. But I also have a second variation. Pick, lock, tool, groove, chain in the wall. Goal is the same except the elevator moves a little faster. Move the chain, object, lock, pick, tool to unlock the locks on the roof and the elevator reaches the top. So you ever play those games where it's like a little plastic thing, has grooves all over, it's like a maze, and you gotta move that ball through? Well, essentially that's what I did for this video, except you're chained to the thing and you gotta move.
You see what I mean? Like, who can even think of something like this? I have a very creative mind, y'all. Y'all know, I mean, look around. This is what I do for my job. But this is next level creativity right here. I couldn't have thought of this, but it does sound fun and it does sound like something I would watch. I mean, I don't really watch this MrBeast crap because I don't like watching him. Like, I don't like MrBeast, the personality. It's just grating. But this is a cool, I mean, this guy should work for a game show. This is very, very cool. I would definitely try it.
Move the ball through the grooves with a key that has a key on it, so you can reach one lock. And there's locks on each four corners of the elevator. So when you get this lock, now you gotta go through the maze again. And now you gotta go and take this lock out. And then like that, so you can escape the elevator. If you don't, the whole thing just plummets to the ground. I thought that was a pretty dope idea, right? So I did that, but I also made two of them because I wanted to make a variation of it. So also here in Squid Games, I made a different variation of what was already done. In the second variation of the Squid Games, I say Mario style floating obstacle course. Instead of using floating blocks, which is impossible, we will use floating rack hoisted by 4 cranes. Floating rack hoisted 200 feet in the air. Each section of the obstacle course will change depending on the distance made. Start from one platform to another to advance. Safety harness will be eliminated due to the net.
So he gets into this kind of obstacle course idea that he had, and it was based off of, because his kids likes the Mario movie and they watch it a lot. There's this thing, he'll get into it, so I'm not going to insert it here, but you'll see in a few minutes, you'll see the diagram of this. But he's showing you that even in his email, even in the prompt that he sent typed out, he's telling them Mario style obstacle course where it's kind of floating. He's already pitching this. Why? Why is he pitching this? Because his kids really like Mario. He keeps pushing this Mario style obstacle course. And before he ever went there, look, he's talking about it.
Underneath the platform. Now, with that, so we have an idea that I wanted to do. So I want to talk a little bit more about my experience of being at the MrBeast warehouse. I've never once personally.
So up until now, what we've discussed is him getting reached out to. There was a back and forth process of an accumulation, a series of interviews. He responded to a prompt. He was invited to a vibe check, and then he flew to North Carolina. The first day that he was there out of the 3 days, he claims that he only just stayed in his hotel room because something happened where the people he was going to be working with got caught up doing something else. The second day, he goes there and he works pretty much all day with them, kind of doing the vibe check. The third day, which will be his last day there, he works for a long time with a specific team of only 2 other people, it looked like. And this is where the important ideas are really going to get brought up.
Have ever signed an NDA. In all my emails and all my correspondences and all my text messages, I have never once ever signed an NDA. Anyways, I get to the warehouse and they have multiple different like studios. Studios as in workshops where you work at, creative, thumbnail, editing, ideation, all these things, right? So they take me to, for legal purposes, for legal reasons, I will say Studio 1.
So they have all these workshops and all these teams, and the teams are for different things: ideas, creative, thumbnail team, right? There's different teams for things. And he's saying he got put on one of them. The first day he was there, remember, he didn't go to the studio. He stayed at his hotel. Second day he was there, he went to the studio. So he's not saying if he was in the thumbnail or the creative or the idea. He's not saying which one. He's just like, for legal purposes, which I don't know why he's doing this for legal purposes if he did not sign an NDA. If he didn't sign an NDA, I don't know why he's saying, oh, for legal purposes, I was in one studio or whatever. I mean, just tell us who it was, I guess. But I do understand people being scared of getting sued.
One of creative. I go to Studio 1, you know, whatever. It's all right. We're working on the video. We're doing the, in 10 minutes, like actual 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, this building explodes. I worked on that for a little bit. Wasn't really feeling it. Wasn't my jam. I will post a little video here of me working on laser challenge for that. Wasn't really my jam. Wasn't really that good out. If I'm being honest. This was actually the second day of me being there because the first day I spent my entire day in my hotel. On the third day, I was told to go to a different studio. We'll say Studio 2, and I'm working on a video. It was another one that had nothing to do with anything. Anyways, I go through a good portion of the day, about 5 hours. Around like 2:00 p.m. There's a guy named Hoodie. Hoodie was also in one of the emails earlier, and he's like, when it comes to chain of command, I think he's third in chain of command total. So you have MrBeast, you have Tyler, you have Jackson the head writer, and you have Hoodie. And Hoodie was in charge of all these things. I actually had my vibe check call with Hoodie. I had my second call with Hoodie. I was in contact with Hoodie and Leslie, the coordinator, if you remember that, and everything was going through Hoodie.
So Ty says he's there for like 5 hours, and it's like 2 p.m., which, I mean, I would assume, especially if they're not paying him, he would be expected to be there from approximately 9 to 5, maybe 8 to 6, with a lunch break, put in, especially if he's just going to be shadowing. But he says around 2 p.m., he is approached by like the third or fourth in command person at the entire business, this guy named Hoodie, who, while they all going by fake names, Delaware and Hoodie, I wonder why Hoodie goes by Hoodie. I don't know. But Hoodie comes in at 2:00 p.m. and gets Ty. Now, in my opinion, this is the whole reason they brought him there in the first place. I don't know. I wasn't there, girl. I can't read their minds. But somebody comes collect him up and says, hey, for the rest of the day, I actually want you to shadow. I want you to shadow some other people. Come with me. So he does just that.
Work with this team and see how you can contribute to them. So let's break down the positions in the MrBeast company. I went to this new room.
It was very confusing and very Scientology coded. I cut about 5 minutes out of him explaining how the C1s, the C2s, and C3s work, okay? It's all hierarchical. It's all MLM. It's giving Mormon. It's giving Scientology. It's giving people who are familiar with MLMs, like possibly Mormons, like possibly, I don't know, the Latter-day Saints. We'll get more into that later. But it's definitely giving like CP1, CP2, CP3, and you got to obey. It was confusing. But just know that he did get into the hierarchical structure of the business and of the operations of the company in this video as well. I just cut that part out because it was confusing.
And we're working on a video. We're working on a video called The World's Most Dangerous Obstacle Course. I'm so mad, so upset that I got scammed. I got absolutely scammed by the biggest YouTuber in the entire world. This is where you're gonna find out why I was upset. We're working on the video, World's Most Dangerous Obstacle Course, and I want to show some videos and proof of what I did. So there may...
Okay, and so now he's gonna tell us about what he actually worked on in that room with those people while he was doing that shadowing, and he has pictures from that day. So let me make this bigger.
Have walls in the MrBeast studio where they're all dry erase marker, where you can just write anything. So if you have an idea,
he says there's walls of whiteboards. So they're just drawing all over the whiteboards.
Like, oh crap, I don't want to forget it. Right on the wall. This is a picture of my pitch that I wrote. So you see right here, you get really close. Bloodthirst. Let's see. Elevator. Let's even get close. Glass challenge right here. PT hallway. Sound familiar? It's my prompt. This is what I pitched to Hoodie, and I didn't put my variations in here. I just put the ones that I wanted, and I verbally said my variations just in case they didn't like my original ones. This is the world's most dangerous obstacle course. So C1 has been working on this with me and the other guy, I don't know his name, and we're working on, like, as you can see, the intro, the hook, the money mechanic.
So he's showing you what they were working on. From the sounds of things, it seems like there was only 3 people in that room. It was him, another girl who seems to be, her name was Sierra, and another guy who was kind of like low on the totem pole. And they were brainstorming here. From what it sounds like, they were writing this stuff on the board, and he's kind of going through, look, we're doing the intro, we're doing the hook, we're doing the different things.
Right here, we're looking at, this is the most important part, it's just rooms. When brainstorming rooms, I'm like, dang, okay, rooms. I just did a prompt on the world's dangerous
So it just so happened that there was a portion of this video where he was just supposed to be shadowing. He was just supposed to be shadowing. Remember? That's how they framed it to him. Hoodie said, I want you to shadow these people. But then part of the shadow ended up being his ideas got wrote on the board. Okay. And he's saying, oh, I have ideas for this because this is rooms. And I just did a whole prompt. Remember that email prompt? He typed it all out with the variations and all that. I just did a whole prompt on rooms. And I think some of my ideas were really good, including that Mario floating thing. And so let me present those ideas here because it fits. I'm going to try and show that I'm a collaborator and I'm a team player.
Trap rooms. This is perfect. I can do this. It doesn't exactly follow the obstacle course, so I can kind of use my room idea with this. I mean, if you look at all these ideas, whatever, it doesn't matter. The one thing that I'm looking at the most is all the way at the bottom. It looked like it says Marlo, but it says Mario. Mario was my idea. I'm inspired by Mario because my kids love the Mario movie. They loved it so much they named my dog Mario. So I was inspired by that. And I think I put that in my prompt as well. If anyone's ever seen Mario, they have the floating blocks. And I wanted to see how I can make an obstacle course with those floating blocks. I don't know how you would do it. Logistically, it's just not gonna work, and physically, I don't think it would work either. So I came up with the idea with a truss. Taking a look at this picture right here. So this was my idea here. I wanted to make an obstacle course in the air, but like somehow incorporate it with the Mario idea. Somehow just, I don't know, somehow do that. This is a picture that I drew for this pitch for this idea. I had an idea of a truss with 4 cranes holding it up, and I wanted to be able to go across it. That was just the first section of it. Because if you look a little bit more to the right of this picture, there's like a helicopter and a guy hanging from a ladder, and there's platforms down here, 1, 2, and 3. There's platforms right there. That was just the first section of it. I wanted the intro of the video to be something so outlandish, so crazy that the viewer had to keep watching. So I pitched this idea, and they absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. The only person who didn't like it was C.
Okay. This part to me is important because he says the only person who didn't like it was, it appears to be that there was this person's name was Sierra. I'm gonna call her that. I don't know if that's what he's saying because he bleeped it out, but it looks like he's saying Sierra. So Sierra, who was kind of the main leader, the C1, the boss of that room, of that little group in that one room, she did not like it. She did not like the idea. And Ty is saying that that's because she was jealous because it wasn't her idea. I think, you know, I have a little bit more of a conspiracy theory mindset about it, but I'll get to what my opinion is in just a moment.
One, because it wasn't her idea. So when it came down to our meeting later that day, so we were there for hours and hours and hours. And like I said, there's a hierarchy. There's MrBeast, Tyler, Jackson, the head writer, and Hoodie. Jackson comes down there and we're having a meeting at 9 o'clock at night. The meeting goes all the way to midnight. And then they say at the very end, we're gonna need all hands on deck on this. We're gonna need the help. We're gonna need the creativity. We need everyone to pull their weight. Does anyone have anything that's gonna help us, you know, with this? And I told him my idea.
So they have a big meeting later that night, and he's been here all day at this point. And he's been working on, first of all, he worked until 2 p.m. with a whole group of people. He got moved to another room around 2 p.m. where he started brainstorming and offering a lot of his own original ideas in a very small group of people, maybe 3 people total. Now, one of them 3 people he was working with did not like his ideas. But apparently after that, a lot of people came back together from the team, from the warehouse, from the studios, all came back together. They reconvene at the end of the night. And he pitches his little idea he came up with. Now, remember, he was told he went in there to shadow. He went in there to shadow. Once he got in there, there was something that was so similar to something that he had just did a whole pitch on that he took the initiative. He took the initiative and used his creativity and his intelligence to contribute because they had literally told him, this is part of the mind of the whole thing. They literally told him their team is about collaboration first. Okay. So he's doing exactly that. He's doing exactly what they told him, thinking that he's going to be rewarded for it.
Brought up every single thing, not only just this idea, but the rest of the video. They loved it.
So from my perspective, he took initiative. He went above and beyond, and he was not getting paid for this. He was not even hired yet. He wasn't even hired for the 90-day trial yet. This is literally a vibe check. And here's this guy, smart, creative, intelligent. He's talking to them about his ideas. Now, this wasn't probably expected, right? But in his mind, and from my perspective, if I'm hiring somebody, this is exactly what I want to see. And I'm a YouTuber, okay? Like maybe one of these days I might be hiring somebody. I'm gonna tell you what I would love to see. I would love to get in a room with somebody and we're collaborating on a video idea for a little bit, and they have brilliant, intelligent, outside of the box ideas I never would have thought of. That's what I want to see as a YouTuber who's hiring people. Well, some might see it, and I think this is where I'm going with this. I believe he was screened out for exactly the reasons why I would screen him in. And that is, he did not respect his role or his place. These people are a multi-level organization, okay? And if you will recall, I mean, he just told us who the chain of command is. Jimmy is number 1. He just told us. Number 2 is a guy named Tyler. Number 3 is the lead head main writer named Jackson. Then under him is Hoodie. Okay. So if MrBeast is number 1, what else do we know about MrBeast? He does not handle the operations of this company. He does not handle his own damn bank account. He don't even have access to his own main bank account. Okay. So who does? That would be Susan Marie King Donaldson Perisher. That's Jimmy's mom. Jimmy's mom is also a former prison warden for the Department of Defense prison in Mannheim, Germany. Okay, so she's a prison warden type for the military. Okay, who really likes hierarchical following orders, even if the boss ahead of you is full of absolute Who? No matter what, you have to follow your commander's order. The United States military. So it's my opinion that all of this, what Ty thought was putting him on the map, making him stand out for all the right reasons, actually made him stand out for all the worst reasons, because this organization does not actually seemingly value creativity, intellect, and initiative in employees. No. They value creativity, intellect, and initiative in people whose ideas they want. And people who they just want to throw a little email real quick out to them and get them in the office real quick so they can get them to solidify their idea. But these people in this organization that's being run like a military operation, they don't want somebody who's going to go over the C1, who's their boss. They want you to shut up, be quiet, be the intern, and job shadow. Now, does that mean that they won't use your idea if you have a good idea? No. And this is something that I really would like to explain to anybody who has found themselves in this type of position. You did not get that job because you weren't good enough for the job. You did not get that job because you are not controllable, Ty. That's why you didn't get hired. The reason you didn't get hired, in my opinion, I wasn't there. I don't know these people from Adam. Okay. This is psychic vision from the Lord. Okay. This is a psychic vision from the Lord. All right. But the reason, Ty, you didn't get the job is not because anything about your ideas. And it also isn't about how you were getting along with the people at your same level. The problem was you were a little too bold. And how do I know this? Or why is the Lord giving me this psychic vision? Because I've had the same thing happen to me many times. I've had people make whole documentaries off of my YouTube research and not even mention that I exist. I've had people try to make a documentary about the free band movement and wasn't going to interview the leader of the free band movement who started and founded the free band movement. Okay. They were going to make a whole documentary about a movement I founded without interviewing me. Why? Because I'm not for sure going to say what bullshit they need me to say on that camera. That's why. Okay. So as a word of advice to everybody, a lot of times in these corporate environments, because I think that people have a little bit of a confusion. They think that because MrBeast is a job in a creative field, that it's like a creative job. And in some ways it is. You do have to have creativity. But what I would venture to wager that they actually value more in employees, full-time employees, not people whose ideas they want to take. That's not who I'm talking about. People who they want to work at their business. It's not a creative consideration, probably very much at all. It's who will shut the hell up, not ask any questions, not rock the boat, not buck the system, not try to make a whole bunch of changes, not try to be the one intern that's trying to be the shining star. I would imagine that what they really value at the MrBeast, the brand corporation, is exactly the same thing they value at Winston and Strawn or Quinn and Emanuel or Deckert or any law firm or any consulting firm. And that is shutting the hell up and following orders. Okay. Can you imagine if we had a business full of brilliant creatives like Ty and me? I'll put myself in there. Imagine if me and Ty were your employees. For the most part, we're going to be smarter than almost everybody we're working with. It's clear to me. I mean, the man is brilliant. He's a genius. He's very creative and he's very competent. So imagine like a bunch of me's and Ty's running around. Imagine me and Ty running around. You trying to be our boss. Imagine trying to be my boss. I'm going to be telling you where you're wrong. I'm going to be giving you my brilliant ideas that I got from the mothership. I'm going to be telling you that because I think, stupidly, you want the best video to come out. But no. These people have to keep their organization going. They have to keep the company going. And if we have brilliant creatives like this coming in out the woodwork with better ideas than everybody else that we're going to actually implement and use for a video that we're going to actually allow to go over budget because of this guy. Imagine a bunch of them come in and just start saying, no, I'm not listening to the CO. That would cause a very big problem, especially if you want to still keep being the #1 YouTube channel. We can't have disruptors like that coming in and messing up our organization, but we can damn sure use them ideas. That's what I think from my psychic vision from the Lord. That's what I think happened. Let's listen a little further. We're almost done with this clips.
The budget was originally 1.7 million. That intro alone cost 1.7 million dollars. just the intro alone. And the reason why I didn't want to bring it up immediately was only because if the budget was 1.7 million and I'm here to prove myself, I can't start with going by over budget. Say, well, it would have worked, because who they're going to trust? You're going to trust someone that works there for months or weeks, years, or you're going to trust some guy like me that just flew here a couple days ago. It was a little risky, but they loved it. We stayed to midnight. They freaking loved it. I got a pat in the back. Jackson was excited. Hoodie was excited. The only person who wasn't excited was a C1 that I kind of stepped over, because like they say in the company, it don't matter if you're C1, C2, C3. C3 could be a C2, C2 could be a C1, C1 could be a C3 by tomorrow. All right, so.
And what he just said is a little bit telling as to why I developed the theory that I just now expounded on for a few minutes. Listen to what they actually said. He said at this company, a C1 could be a C2. A C2 could be a C3, right? This is the levels, right? The boss could be the worker could be the assistant could be the boss tomorrow, right? But what does that still tell you? That they will change your title before they will allow somebody who is a C2 to override the C1. Okay, one more time for the slow people. The hierarchy, the military pyramid structure hierarchy of this corporate organization is so important to them. This hierarchy, this following your boss's orders is so important to them that they will change somebody's job title in one day, to make sure that the person who's actually the assistant isn't toppling over the boss. Okay. It's not like they walking around saying, look, if you're a C1, you're the boss. But if you're a C3, you might have an idea that we like, and we might take that idea over the C1. Nope. No, y'all got to start being specific with the language people use. This is how they get away with it, and y'all just never notice. You've got to listen to the words people say. They were running around that office telling this guy who was not even employed yet, anybody could become a C2, C3, C1 tomorrow. None of these CCCs, whatever, are set in stone, okay? They did not say, yeah, C1, C2, technically that's the order, that's the structure, but we just value everyone's opinion. Nope. They will strip your job title from you. They will demote you at any moment. That kind of puts you on a little bit of scary, shaky ground. And that's another criticism that we've heard many times about the MrBeast employment world. Everybody thinks they're about to get fired at any moment. You're not really getting good feedback, so you don't really know when you're going to be just kicked out onto the street. And people, I mean, I wasn't there. I never worked for him, okay? I'm just telling you what people are saying. But here again, oh, you could lose your C1 status tomorrow. You could lose that tomorrow. This guy could be your boss tomorrow. Right? That is that like, oh, you might get fired any moment, right? You might get demoted any moment. But there was another person who's come out and said similar allegations to this kind of breadcrumbing, where it was the person who came out and exposed and tried to criticize Ava Chris. This was a transgender person who had dated Ava Chris in some capacity. And Ava Chris Tyson kept saying to this person, they might be in a video, maybe they'll be able to cast them in a MrBeast video, kind of breadcrumbed them along to keep them from being too mad at Ava Chris for the alleged allegations of activities that Ava Chris was doing against this person. And that's not it. There's another guy, this Weddle, Jake Weddle or whatever his name is, right? Remember him? He also came out and said, even after he didn't work at MrBeast anymore, they would still call him and still text him and say, oh, we got a challenge. We got a challenge. You could win $300,000. Come do the challenge. Right? So they're kind of breadcrumbing people along. And I believe this is intentional. I believe this is intentional psychological manipulation to keep people from going sour and making videos exactly like the one you're watching right now. Because they breadcrumb this person as well, Ty. Later on, they're going to tell him he doesn't have a job offer, but then they end up saying it's not because your personality or anything like that, because it's just a reorganization we're doing at the company. And maybe in the future, we'll even have a job for you. Well, he's already been there. He's been at MrBeast. He's been in the warehouse. He's been amongst the people. And they're still telling him when they're telling him you don't have a job. Well, maybe in the future. So I could see how in his mind, he doesn't want to rock the boat. Maybe in a couple months, they're going to, and especially because he had such good ideas and the people loved him. But this breadcrumbing to keep people from going sour on them does seem to now be, from the different places we've seen this allegation coming from, actually a pattern from what I've observed, in my opinion.
Point, I've pitched my idea. They love it. They've set a date. They set a location. And now they have a new renewed budget for.
So they're going to take his idea. They're going to do it. They're going to use his idea, but he's still there in North Carolina. He's excited. Yes, they're going to use my idea. They're making a budget. They've got the place. Oh my God. I can't imagine the excitement that he was filled with.
This video and everything's great. I'm so happy. I text all my friends. I call everyone. I'm like, yeah, dude. So after all that, I'm feeling great. I got a verbal confirmation that I was good to go. Everything was perfect. I know about everything was literally perfect until I got home. And that's when everything started to happen. Unfortunately, we have decided not to move forward with your candidacy at this time. We really appreciate you coming out and vibing with us. We would consider you for a role like this in the future, but timing isn't quite right. And the rest are about receipts. So
we would consider you for a role like this in the future, but the timing isn't quite right. But we do know that they have some open positions because this same person was talking about a 90-day trial and all of this stuff. Like, obviously there was jobs to be had. It just wasn't going to be offered to him. And it cannot be because he didn't have good ideas, right? He had great ideas, and they actually indeed implemented many of his ideas in videos that you can go and watch today. He showed proof that they were his ideas by drawing them on the board and showing us those pictures. So it isn't that they didn't have a job, and it isn't that he wasn't talented. It isn't that he wasn't creative, and it wasn't that he didn't understand the assignment, because he clearly did. So what does that leave room open for? I've heard some people say this could have been a race-based consideration, which maybe it could have been. Maybe it could have been. I wasn't there. I do not know. But in my opinion, it has a lot more to do with the fact that of any race, of any gender, a person with this personality type, this go-getter, this self-starter, listen, pick your pen up, write this note. That is boss qualities. That is not employee qualities. Okay? Now, as I already said, me personally, with a YouTube team of me plus one person, I would love to have Ty work for me for free for 3 days, even 1 day, even 5 hours, because I guarantee you can come up with some fantastic ideas. But I'm not MrBeast. I'm not a multi-million, billion, whatever dollar corporation conglomerate. I have more flexibility. I have more ability to absorb that type of an impact because I am my own boss. MrBeast's boss is Susan Marie King Donaldson Perisher. Okay. So everybody's got to make sure that the lead main commander, military prison warden in charge has her military hierarchy respected. And unfortunately for Ty, he believed what these people were telling him, that they valued collaboration, that they valued self-starters, that they valued people taking initiative. That is not true. That is not true in almost any corporation or almost any business. What they want you to do is shut up, take your notes, speak when spoken to, and go fetch somebody's coffee. Okay, that's what they want you to do. That's what they want me to do. That's what they want employees to do. If you stay at a company for years, that's when they might start saying, oh yeah, they have leadership qualities. Yeah, that'd be nice. These huge companies like this, they don't want no outside of the box go-getter on their full-time payroll. I promise you that. No, they don't. We cause too much problems for them. Y'all know I'm telling the truth too.
First, I was like, you know what? Maybe that's true. But then I started to think about it a little bit more. And I didn't want to let it bother me. So I said, hey, Dylan, that's a bummer to hear, but I appreciate the opportunity. Maybe another time, like you said, candidly, may I ask if I presented myself poorly or rubbed the crew wrongly in any way? Talking about here because I know I did. He said, hello, Ty. You did not rub anyone the wrong way or present yourself poorly. We're going through some reorganization with the team and are limited on roles we have open for teams. Whatever. This is where I started to say, but I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything at all. Not a single word until I saw this on Twitter. Just uploaded the most insane video we've ever done. Go watch. Take a look at this picture. Take a good hard look at.
Look at that, y'all. Oh my God. I almost wish that I would have recorded myself when I watched it the first time. I went, and it was more dramatic than that because the camera wasn't on. But girl, oh my God, I freaked out. That is unmistakable.
This picture. Does that remind you of anything you've seen so far? Does it remind you of anything you've seen remotely close to it? Or does it look like the exact same thing that I drew? The exact same thing that I pitched? Everything. Do you want to know how much I got paid for that? Zero. I didn't get paid a single dime.
So that's pretty much that. And I understand why he would be upset. And I think he has every reason to be. I don't think it's legal. He did this whole section about maybe this is legal. I don't think it's legal. Because in order for somebody to use your intellectual property, you have to give them consent to do so, or at least you have to have had some type of consideration paid to you or some type of consideration afforded or awarded to you. It don't seem like he had any consideration afforded or awarded to him. It does seem like he did get a trip to North Carolina, but it was for the purpose of a job interview. So that's not consideration, in my opinion. So I don't even actually believe or think that this was legal. I think this is pretty cut and dry, but I'm not an expert on this. I've never been licensed in North Carolina. Y'all go hire your own lawyers, but this is absolutely now, the final thing I wanted to say to kind of wrap this all back up with like the Beyonce and the P. Diddy story of things. I've covered a few lawsuits on this channel, discussed them, and most of them were dismissed, and they were against very, very famous, wealthy, powerful people. For example, one time somebody accused Kim Kardashian and a bunch of other celebrities of really some stuff that honestly probably would be conservatorship or jail type allegations, like torturing her, like, you know, accuse Kim Kardashian of torturing her, accuse Kim Kardashian and Kris Jenner of stuff like that. Somebody else accused Jay-Z and P. Diddy and Rick Ross of and of stealing their intellectual property. There was a homeless man, and he said he was homeless at the time. He was targeted by Jay-Z, P. Diddy, and somebody, Rick Ross, and 2 Chainz. They stole his arts ideas. They stole his intellectual property, and he sued. His case was dismissed because it was frivolous. Beyonce was sued for stealing somebody's intellectual property, stealing specific lyrics to songs, stalking, harassment, stuff like that. Case dismissed as frivolous. These cases were dismissed as frivolous before these famous people even had to speak in defense of their own selves. The judges dismissed these cases on their own, sua sponte. No one had to say, I didn't do that. The judge just looked at the allegation and considered, oh, it's a homeless man saying that Jay-Z stole his intellectual property. Yeah, right. And also, I have reason to believe the homeless man was black because he said that he was racially profiled. Okay, so that leads me to the obvious logical next conclusion, in my opinion. This guy, Ty, he had said, I wasn't going to say anything about this. It wasn't until Ava Chris impeached the credibility of this channel, impeached the credibility of these people, that I ever felt like I could even come out. So actually, you know what? Thank you, Ava Chris, for being so deranged, because now when I tell my story, people might believe it. But what if that never happened? Can you imagine how someone like Tyrone, as smart, as intelligent, as competent, and capable as he clearly is, he's not famous as MrBeast. Who's going to believe that MrBeast he has teams and teams of people? I can hear y'all right now saying it. He has teams of people working for him, BJ. Why would he need to steal someone's idea? Why would he need to steal an idea? He's the best people working for him. I'm going to say innocent until proven guilty. I wasn't there. This man, Ty, could be full of it. He could have photoshopped all these receipts. But me personally, I don't think that's what happened. I don't think that's what happened. I actually believe him. I actually believe every word he said. That's all I really had for today. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Love you, mean it. K-bye. Welcome into my world. You're playing my game. Thought that you could come up and they're fitting off of my name. Talking out the side of your neck like you're insane. Cortisol levels to the roof. Inflame. Kids these days so shameless. Selling out real friends for a paycheck. Mama didn't teach them no home training. Wanna be me so bad, but they failing. Step to the plate though. I'll take a challenger. I ain't scared of no low life scavenger. I should warn you though, if you haven't heard, I know COULDN ukulele ballanger. Shots been fired. Run and tell that. Say it to my face though. Now behind my back. Won't be long till you share it in a group chat. And when I call you up, you're gonna backtrack. And you should've kept my name out your mouth. As we go, how it all